Oh, the trash meister is here. The lawnmowers will be cranking up soon.
Hang on, I got to shut this down. I got a fan blowing like crazy.
He's like, wait a minute. I got to make a call to a neighbor and see if there are any kids who want to ride their mini bikes up and down the sidewalk right now.
All right, there we go.
I'm just calling up and express concern. Is your son okay? Is he feeling under the weather? Is everything okay? Because I don't hear his freaking mini bike.
He wasn't hit by a car or something, was he?
Yeah, something.
Was he?
Unfortunate like that. Okay, so here's the deal. I haven't seen the promo for it yet. I'm sure Steve is all over this, but I've seen commercials for, I think it's for IHOP, where they're cross-promoting a breakfast thing where they essentially put some dye in some of their existing products to turn them purple and stuff. And they're co-promoting their food with the Addams Family movie, the new animated Addams Family movie. And let me just ask, because I never watched the Addams Family when I was a kid. I don't know anything about it other than the song. And I just want to know from you guys, what are the odds right now that this Addams Family movie absolutely ruins the franchise for everybody?
You know, I haven't read anything about it. I love the old show. I love the first one because Raul Julia as Gomez was so perfect, and of course,
it was great.
What's her name is Morticia. I just forgot her name. Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, they were just.
Why did I know she was
together.
in it? I never saw it.
Oh, you should. You should.
The first one was pretty good. The second one was classic. Addams Family Values was just brilliant.
You know, I don't think I've seen it since it was on the big screen, and I remember being a little disappointed, but maybe that's because I didn't have a family yet.
Who played Wednesday on that? I've forgotten her name now. I haven't
Christina
seen her in a while.
Ricci.
That's right. She just owned that movie and ran away with it.
All right, I'll give it another try.
Great.
I think they should have gotten the kid who played Laura Ingalls in Little House on the Prairie to play Wednesday.
That would have been interesting.
She would have been perfect for that.
I think the reason that they're doing it is to give you the sense that the pancakes have rotted to a state of putrescence, which, if you think about it, is altogether ooky, and I think is a catastrophic decision. But what do I know about it?
I'm a little turned off by any food item endorsed by Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester.
See. Well, I mean, I'm not a big admirer of IHOP, but I have to give him a hand on this one. My
favorite line from the Addams Family is a Raul Julia line where somebody, I don't know if it was, I guess it was a friend, I don't think it was Morticia, goes up to Gomez Addams and says, "You are a real lady killer," and he goes, "Acquitted."
Yes. With just that big smile on his face. He was so good. Or my favorite bit of dialogue from the first one between Gomez and Morticia was Gomez asking, "Darling, how long has it been since we danced?" "Hours."
Hours.
And then they get up and dance. How do you not love that?
I loved Raul Julia. I thought he was terrific.
He really was. And he died so young. It was just awful.
He did.
I don't even know who he is. What else was he in? Is there anything I would have seen that was on like the Hallmark Channel or something?
Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Kiss of the Spider Woman, yeah.
Kiss, curse, whatever.
I don't think you'd like that one too much.
He was the defense attorney for Harrison Ford in
The Fugitive?
No. The big serious movie based off a big serious book with Bonnie Bedelia and hang on, this is going to kill me.
Mosquito Coast?
No, although I did.
It
like
wasn't
that
when
one.
he was hanging out with the Amish, was it?
Hang on, it's in
that was
my
a great
Witness.
Classic movie, Witness.
It's in my Sierra Hotel category here. Let's see if I can find it.
That's the first two letters
like
of a word that I indicate you don't like
but that's not it. It's not Frantic.
I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize because this is even less than a show than usual.
This is awful. It's Steve trying to find the name of a movie.
Not Steve. It's just the whole thing.
Well, yeah, really. And I wouldn't blame myself, but pride prevents it. And so I think, as he was looking for that, I was actually looking for the notes that I made on the shows that I plan to host. Because by the way, I'm Scott, my buddy
Scott.
Bill, my other buddy Steve. We do this meeting every week to decide what we're going to do, and there's no sergeant at arms. I think, Bill, is what the problem is.
Clearly,
if there were a sergeant at arms, this meeting might be a little more disciplined.
Presumed innocent.
Oh, that's the name of the Harrison Ford movie?
Yes, really good flick.
My guess is he was guilty as hell. Was he guilty?
No spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
no
really
spoilers on a
movie.
25-year-old movie or whatever it is.
It's one of the best courtroom dramas ever. Really, it's that good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I think the sergeant at arms for this show should have been Ernest.
Like in Ernest Goes to Right Angle? That kind of thing?
Yeah, that's right. He made me laugh.
Jim Varney is funny.
Yeah,
So here's the deal. I'm supposed to be hosting 2 episodes this week, and I made notes on both of these episodes, and somehow I have renamed a file that should have the notes for one of those episodes. It's actually notes from a book I'm reading, which I just finished today, and it's much too intense to do on this show. So we're going to later deal with that. So I'm going to have to tell you these 2 episodes as I can recall them. Oh, wait a minute. I have a different device. Scott needs multiple devices to pull off this show.
to host one show.
That's right. Okay, so there are 2 topics that I have here in my little star-crossed list. And here's the first one, and we'll find the notes by the time the show comes around. But here's the first one is this. The New York Times has a story about the Democrats who, some of the fundraisers and the Democratic behind-the-scene consultants and operatives fishing around for maybe some other candidate who could run for president. They've kind of
really,
yes, they've weeded through, and this happens quadrennially. So this is not something that has never happened in the Democratic Party. But what I find fascinating about it is my first several words. The New York Times has a story about the Democrats fishing around for an alternative.
Just give us a whole new slate.
What's that? Yeah,
just give us a whole new slate. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah,
and that means they're scared.
So then I turn on CNN, and who's the guy who's like prematurely dead?
Wolf Blitzer.
Well, that narrows it down.
No, it's not Wolf.
Anderson Cooper.
No, yeah, he looks like Anderson Cooper if Anderson Cooper would eat a sandwich every once in a while. I think his name is John King.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He is maybe the most charisma-free person on a major network.
He is. He is like the husband of Blanche Dubois. I mean,
he spends 4 hours a day in the deflavorizer.
So he still has some flavor. You better boil it some more.
So CNN has this great concept where they pull together a bunch of people that you've never heard of to talk about a topic that lacks interest, and they're trying to make it interesting.
That's our show.
Wait a minute.
They're totally stealing our shtick.
They've stolen the recipe. So John King, I think that's his name, did a story based on this New York Times, still the trendsetter among the progressive media out there, about like what other candidates might surface, and or is it possible that some of the candidates who are actually in the race now but not doing well would be better than the group that seems to have coalesced as the top 2 or 3?
When you say surface, do you mean like the way a body surfaces, like at the end of a horror movie, that kind of thing?
Excellent. Right.
Jason coming out of the lake at the end of Friday the 13th.
Just kind of bobbing up, filled with methane. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Wow, we almost went a week without a methane joke. Almost.
So, well, it's from decomposition. Wouldn't that throw off some methane or some kind of gas?
Yeah, it does.
It would, in fact, yes. And
I just took a stab at that, which you don't want to do with one of those bodies, by the way. Do not. Have you ever seen the videos of the guy standing in front of the whale that explodes? It's kind of like that.
Oh, it's. I beg your pardon. Can we just edit that little out, please, there, Mark? Just because it is It is freaking disgusting.
It is.
It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
And the thing is, it's real. These days, you would think that some pranksters with a video camera and some filters to make it look 70s.
That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. That was horrible.
Yeah. Well, on Saturday Night Live later did a sketch. I can't remember who was in it. And it was kind of like a beach movie, you know, like where there are these kids dancing in their bikinis and stuff on the beach, like the Archies or something. And then this whale kept exploding all over everybody. Blood is everywhere. Oh, no. Anyway.
That's pretty disgusting. That's a disgusting video. And did you guys ever see the video of this would be from the 70s, whale washed ashore. They didn't know what to do with it. They figured they couldn't bury it, so they dynamited it.
Yes.
And
they thought they'd vaporize it, but no.
Yeah, rotten pieces of whale meat went flying for like half a mile, landed on cars, smashed
raining
windshields.
from the sky.
As God is my witness, I thought whales would vaporize with enough dynamite.
So anyway, so that's my first topic is basically, you know, what are we to make of the fact that this major bastion of liberal journalism is looking at, you know, the field of 47 that's been winnowed down to 23 and still saying, anybody out there, anybody at all.
What it tells me is that God himself could not stop Donald Trump from being elected.
You'll see a lot more stories in the last week about Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar. Not only because their names are difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, they sound like a Romanian gymnastics or ice dancing team or something.
No. Klobuchar Buttigieg was that famous Romanian coach for the gymnast.
Right.
That's right.
Have you been injured in automobile accident? Call Buttigieg and Klobuchar. So anyway, so Pete.
We started at the bottom and we've gone nowhere but down.
A Trabant hit me at full speed, and I've got a bruise right here on my leg. It's about this big.
It's a job for Buttigieg and Klobuchar. Buttigieg has actually turned up third in an Iowa poll, which is, you know, how do you even do an Iowa poll? Because the way they run those caucui is like, it's kind of a self-selecting group, right?
Yeah, it's really difficult to poll Iowa. And the thing is, Buttigieg has actually raised more money this quarter than Joe Biden has. So Biden's kind of pinning everything on his South Carolina firewall, but that's, I think, the fourth round of primaries. It's after Iowa, it's after New Hampshire, and it's after something else before you finally get to South Carolina. And I'm wondering if Biden's firewall can hold if he gets 3 weeks of loser headlines prior to that.
See, that just shows the value of the telephone when it comes to fundraising, because when you get that Buttigieg call, you respond even late at night.
One gets the impression that Buttigieg is running for vice president. I really feel that's the case.
They did a thing on Saturday Night Live where they did the LGBTQTXRZ debate, and the character that was I think it was Colin Jost or somebody came out playing Pete Buttigieg, and his arms were like, I can't do it because my camera doesn't come down low enough, but his arms are like flat out in front of him with his hands kind of like this, just straight out. And he's like, I'm Mayor Pete. I went to Harvard and they didn't teach me where to put my hands.
You know, I wouldn't mind seeing him as Veep. We haven't had a gay vice president since Agnew.
Technically Lyndon Johnson wasn't vice president for very long. Okay, so that's one of my topics.
No one ever suspected Cheney of this. That's one thing I think you can give the guy.
But his daughter, yeah. So anyway, the other topic, and I should write that down. So I'm going to do the candidate thing. This is the note that I will later lose. So the DNC.
That's a
still the DNC dearth, I'm going to call it. Still looking for a candidate there. And then the other topic is kind of an offbeat one, just because I'm sick of doing the same kind of stories over and over. Let me pull this up. There's a thing, and I think it was GreenwichTimes.com is the name of the publication or the website. And it's under the headline, Americans Embrace the Wisdom of Being Nobody. And it was based on, it was a column really, but it was based on the results of a survey that said that when they polled over 5,000 Americans, 92% of Americans say that fame is a part of how most people view success. However, when that question was turned around and Americans were asked how they view success, only 3% of Americans said that they actually view fame as an important part of success.
It's an interesting
Yeah,
statistic.
we're pretty damn smart as a people, aren't we?
So
At least when
there's,
you phrase the question properly.
well, I think it raises a couple of interesting questions, which I'm not going to pose now because that you'll find that you can easily answer them in 30 seconds and then the show will be over. But in any case, I think it highlights some of the challenges of polling. It puts a spotlight on kind of our Instagram culture. And this idea that, back in 2006, there was a poll done of kids under 10 years old, and the vast majority of them said the most important thing to have when they grew up was to be famous.
Yep.
That was what they were seeking to do. So being rich, have a high profile career, being well known. When we all know that the important thing is to be liked, not just liked, but well liked.
Yes, be well liked.
Oh boy, I got to work on
Is that from Death of a Salesman?
It is. Yeah. Which I don't know who wrote that, but he should have become famous because that was a really good play.
I went to see that Waiting for Godot, and the guy never showed up. I don't know if the actor was sick.
I stood
Or what,
outside
but it
the
was a
theater
terrible
for
production.
hours at Waiting for Godot, and he never got there. So people started pouring out of the theater, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, so that's it. That's all I've got. And so what I've done is set the bar at the height of the average street curb. And so, Steve Green, you can
Now it's limbo time.
you can hardly screw this up.
I'm not sure I can quite scale those heights, but let me see if I can try. We need to settle amongst ourselves and for our viewers what is probably the most important question of our time, or at least of this year.
Hang on a
or
second.
At least of this segment.
I have to bait my breath. Go ahead.
Please do. Is it fully baited?
Yes.
There we
fully.
go. All right. Is Hillary Clinton off her meds, drunk, or insane?
Yes. I mean, yes, we should do that topic. And yes is
Yes.
the
Yes
answer.
is the answer.
And
Yeah.
they are not mutually exclusive either, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Have you seen the week she had starting, I guess, Wednesday or Thursday of last week?
Because there's
We
no
talked
mental health
about a
exclusion at the liquor store.
podcast that she made.
Yeah, with David Plouffe.
Yeah, a podcast.
See, look, that's the difference between Stephen Green and me, Bill. Did you hear that? You said podcast. He immediately knew that it was David Plouffe. When yesterday, when we were recording Bill Whittle Now,
I had no idea who it was.
we had no idea.
Well, I wrote a column about it on Friday afternoon. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, man, I bet Bill and Scott could say some wickedly funny things about this poor old woman.
Oh, well, I don't know if they'd be funny, but they'd be wicked, certainly.
Exactly. So you talked about this, and I don't want to talk about just the David Plouffe thing, or just the Tulsi Gabbard thing, or just the Jill Stein thing. There's a lot to chew on here. I actually had to take a whole lot of notes, so I've got them over here, and we'll.
That sounds great. I think that's a great topic.
And
I mean, I don't want you to give us the notes in advance. I want the open mouth amazement
fresh,
captured live.
Slack-jawed, bovine-like
there's
expression on my
just
face.
So much.
My
there.
normal. That's my usual expression.
Yeah,
Slack-jawed, bovine-like.
If I can find my notes.
That's actually a phrase from an Earl Nightingale tape that I listened to like umpteen years ago.
There it is.
Earl Nightingale. So I feel like I am seeing a brand new Hillary Clinton. Like this is a person that I don't recognize who is suddenly like getting catty and coy and snarky in public. Not just like behind the scenes where she was always slitting people's throats and stabbing them in the back, but like she wants to be seen as this catty kind of character. Yeah.
Well, she attended, was it Wesleyan? What was her university? I can't remember.
Wesleyan sounds right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was
I don't
Wesleyan, but a lot of people aren't aware of this, but she now holds the Lady Macbeth chair there.
That's right.
Love it.
It's for all our Harvard viewers will appreciate Stephen's drollery.
Fortunately, he didn't mention the name of the Scottish play, so I suppose we'll get through the day okay.
Hoping so. Both my
You
legs
aware of that? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, you can't
superstition
say the name of the play.
Can't say the name of the play.
Really?
Yeah, it's bad
Yeah,
luck.
many people say the name of the play and then they fall down and hurt themselves or
Yeah,
something.
the light
I
falls
thought
down
the
on
Clintons
them.
had done
something,
that to them.
You have to refer to it as the Scottish play.
That's right.
It wasn't the Clintons who did all that. That was actually people accidentally saying the name McDonald's.
Correct.
Now, I was never quite clear on this. Are you allowed to say the name of the Scottish Lord himself as long as you aren't
Nope.
referred? Nope. So the
Nope.
Scottish Lord.
The Scottish play.
All right.
Can I even say the name of that Kiss song?
I think if you were to mention the heavy metal band Megadeth, you'd be getting closer than you want to the edge. So I would just leave it alone.
Now, you know what I'm talking about. Macbeth, I hear you calling.
Well, now we're done.
That's
Thanks,
just
man.
Beth. It's just Beth.
But I can't come home tonight.
There's a charming theater custom of leaving a light on stage on during the night called the ghost light. And I always thought that was really cool. I was in the theater department, been in a few plays and worked in theaters for a significant amount of time. Never failed to leave a light on. When I say a light on the stage, I don't mean like a light on the stage. I mean, you put a light out on the stage.
It's actually on like where people can see it.
Yep.
Did not know that.
It's kind of
So why can't they get normal superstitions like baseball players, like just spitting and scratching themselves and things like that?
Much of that goes on. Much of that goes on in the wings.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you already say a topic for a show, Steve?
I did. We're gonna talk about Hillary Clinton going off the deep end, specifically, and the Democrats and the Never Trumpers in general. That's so if you can wrap that up into one of your awesome headlines, that'd be great.
Still
and if you can't, it's
crazy
because I've just given you a whole bunch of
after
crap
all
to deal with, and I'm sorry.
these She's still crazy. Okay. And what was I doing? The Dearth of Democrats, and then I was doing the nobody thing. Okay. Okay, got it. And Bill Whittle, I have one space left on my dance card, and it's yours.
All right. Well, all right, then. I'm going to get to it. I actually can't decide whether to do one that's, I think, much bigger story or whether I should do the one that seems more political. The one that seems more political is to talk about Seattle Public Schools going to start teaching that math is oppressive. They're going to, in mathematics class, talk about how mathematics have been used to discriminate against people for, on the basis of color and so on, and all of that stuff. And then, so that's kind of the political story. The story I really kind of want to talk about is the final Star Wars trailer came out today.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
It is a catastrophe.
Can I sit this one out?
shot-
I feel like so left out in these Star Wars discussions.
Well, I don't want you to
That's
feel
okay.
left out.
I'll still have fun.
But I am going to watch the trailer after we finish taping this and before we jump into the actual segments.
Well, it's just, it used to be that New Coke was the biggest marketing catastrophe in the history of business.
Oh, that's the one they
But
teach in
this
business
thing-
school on what
But
not to
this
do.
thing is a catastrophe of biblical proportions. It's a catastrophe for reasons that I think have political consequences. It's a catastrophe because it got so woke. It's a catastrophe because it's an example of the self-esteem movement. Tell somebody they're going to be a superstar and then they become one automatically. It's a catastrophe for any number of reasons. And this trailer for this final movie, they rehired J.J. Abrams, who they're calling Jar Jar Abrams now.
Oh, no. No.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. And they're saying he said we're going to wrap up the entire trilogy of trilogies because this is the third film in the third trilogy.
This is number 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard a guy who I like very much called a critical drinker. He said J.J. Abrams can't finish a tuna sandwich. He's never been able to finish anything. It's true. So I saw the trailer, and And it's not only worse than I imagined, it's worse than I could imagine. And the rage that has been built up towards this movie as a result of what happened in episode 8 is going to be interesting. But the reason I think we bring it up politically is because of how they destroyed the most indestructible thing in the pop culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, is this the same movie that I saw an earlier trailer for where the girl does a backflip over a flying
TIE fighter
jet thing?
Yep.
Yeah. And the thing is, when they release that teaser trailer, you'll watch the setup and you go, oh, this is where the indestructible girl is going to jump over the TIE fighter racing right at her. And then the indestructible girl jumps over the TIE fighter that's racing right at her. It's
right.
See, every kid who ever tried to do that with a Ford Pinto knows it doesn't work that way.
My dad said, go ahead and jump over a TIE fighter if you want to, but don't cry to me if you break an arm or something. It's just, you want to make a mistake, go make a mistake.
Yeah, if Ray told you to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, would you do it?
There's a lot about this that does have political overtones, not the least of which is this idea that I've been formulating that it is not possible for progressives or rabid feminists to make a decent movie. And the reason they can't make a good movie, certainly you can't make a good movie. Well, they can't make a good movie because they won't make one about men. And the ones that they make about women are so adolescent that the idea of giving them setbacks, flaws,
all the things that make a character interesting.
All the things that make a character interesting. Failures. Nope, they won't do it. They won't. They're like 16-year-old screenwriters, and that's where the term Mary Sue comes from. And I'll talk about that a little bit too.
I think it would be. It would save the entire.
Topic. I love it.
It would save the entire franchise for Bill anyway. If just once somebody came to Ray and said, we got to do this now. We need your help. We got to save the whatever they're trying to save. And she said, I'm sorry. It's that time of the month. I can't even. And just didn't do it. Yeah,
that would play well. But this is the whole thing. They're so insecure about the little things that they can't get to the big things. They will not, and I've seen it everywhere, saw it in Ghostbusters, saw it in everything. They will not put female characters through the grinder in order to make them interesting, with the possible exception of Wonder Woman. This is what happens when you let feminists make movies, and when you let feminists either run the studios or have enough of a loud influence to make studios make things like this. Have you seen that Budweiser commercial with Charlize Theron?
Yeah.
No.
She's sitting at a bar by herself in a dive as Charlize Theron often does, is wont to do. Yeah. And then some guy over playing pool is making like some kind of snide remarks. So she gets up, she walks over, whips the guy at pool, then he whips him at darts, then beats him at arm wrestling, goes back to the bar and sits down until some other guy makes some kind of comment. Then he looks like he's going to have to get up and do it again. And it's like, so this is the fantasy, is it? This is your fantasy. Is your fantasy is
it? And Bill,
powerful?
You know why I think that works?
Why is that?
Here's why that works. And here's why it won't work with you or me, but it works with women. Because a lot of women spend a lot of their time feeling powerless, feeling like they don't, they work for some jerk and get mistreated and,
You guys work for some jerk and get mistreated, but you don't have to go through this.
But hey, I can quit any time, man. I swear I can. So, but and then they go.
But I hold the deed to your property.
I owe my soul to the company store. And so we're living here in this company duplex. Steve lives next door, but they live that life, and then they go to the movies and see Angelina Jolie with a giant pistol strapped to each thigh and just kicking butt and taking names and doing great things. And I think that, it's kind of like Maleficent, same kind of another Angelina Jolie thing, but they feel empowered. They feel like, yeah, that's what I wish I could do to that guy.
But you know what? Let's go back to the original Terminator, where you had a 21, 22-year-old waitress who gets put through the ringer, and
she's an actual heroine.
She doesn't come through until the very end when she literally has no choice to either beat this indestructible cyborg or die.
So you're saying she actually has an arc, a story arc, a hero story.
Ripley from Alien.
In the first two movies,
Yep.
in the first movie, she's absolutely terrified. Anybody would be absolutely terrified. And she's terrified in the second movie too, which is why when she finally straps on that flamethrower and goes down there, you care.
That's right.
You know? It's like Ray could go down there and it's like, oh, we're going to see aliens with lightsabers. This ought to take about 10 seconds of CGI before she... Yeah. So, this is how you destroy all of the things that they claim to want to have. They destroy self-esteem by making self-esteem dependent on being told or telling yourself you're great rather than actually achieving things. Because achieving things is hard. And then, and they destroy feminism by making these female action heroes being able to physically beat up men or beat them in an arm wrestling competition. And that may give them a quick kind of a jolt of, oh, hey, but it's not, it's not real. If you want to empower women, why don't you make movies like Aliens?
Well, and that's where that commercial falls down, because beat him at pool. Yeah, she can do that. Beat him at darts. She can do that. Beat him at arm wrestling.
It's a little trickier. You know, Princess Leia you didn't really see her take command, take charge until the ice battle or the ice planet battle on Hoth with the walkers and everything, when she's giving instructions to the troops. And she does that with such a calm authority. She knows exactly what the plan is. She's giving her instructions clearly that you're like, yeah, I would follow orders given by this leader. She's been through the ringer. She's got her crap together. I'm going to follow her wherever she leads me. And what are you going to do with Rey?
Or Laura Dern, the purple-haired, anorexic, heretofore unheard of commander of the rebel fleet who gets everybody killed.
There was a
but she does it powerfully.
In a book I'm reading now, the guy was quoting Elizabeth I, Queen of England, and you probably know this reference because you guys are way up on your history, and especially on things that happened before I was born. But this Elizabeth is going to lead her troops into battle, and she stands up in front of them and says, basically, I may have the body of a woman, meaning I am weak, but I have the heart of a king.
An English king.
And a
king of England, no less.
King of England, yeah. And
love that scene.
And they said, now this, I didn't see any movie with it, but apparently it happened. And they said that the commanders of the troops had to ride back and forth among the ranks to quiet the men down because the cheering was so long and sustained that they needed to shut them up.
They're going to miss the battle.
That's right. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to, have you ever seen the show New Amsterdam?
No.
New Amsterdam stars the guy who was like a really terrible guy and then became a good guy in The Blacklist. He played Tom in The Blacklist. I don't know his name. Anyway, so he's he's a medical director at this big city hospital, and he's a progressive, guy, and he's always running around trying to help people and save people and, make them feel better. Ugh. Anyway, but they had this episode and they brought in this ex-military guy. And he's working now for the medical director, and he is so uptight. He's, he can't stand but at parade rest, and he's, yes sir, no sir, and he starts going on and on about how one of the projects they're trying to do there is like socialism, and that people should pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. And I thought, oh great, here it is, another one where they just have to take a conservative guy, make him a straw man, set him up, bat him down, and pat themselves on the back. But halfway through the show, at one point, he's ranting again about socialism, and the medical director said, hey, instead of criticizing what I'm trying to do here, why don't you come up with an idea? Why don't you solve this problem and find a way to make that woman feel better? And what they were trying to do was set up a visiting nurses association to minimize visits back to the hospital because people didn't follow through on their procedures and they couldn't afford to. Anyway, he says, the military guy goes, buy her a dog. And the medical director goes, what? He said, buy her a dog, hire somebody to walk the dog. You'll spend about $20 a day instead of $200 a day on a visiting nurse, and you'll get to check in on her twice a day. You'll know if she's doing okay. And at that point, I just thought they're going to ridicule him. They did not. In fact, they appointed him to the board of directors of the hospital, even though he had none of the other qualifications of board of directors. So shout out to New Amsterdam, however far into the sequel or series that is. But wasn't that cool?
That was cool.
Yeah.
And he's a retired sergeant. You know, he had no computer skills or anything like that, but he said, I understand people and I understand how to get things done.
Yeah, I'd like to see anybody get out of the Army as an NCO without knowing a crap load about technology.
Well, this particular guy said he didn't have a computer. That was part of it. The shtick was that he was not qualified for the job and he was not qualified for the board, but he got the job and he got on the board because basically they made the pitch to the board. They said, look, you guys can all raise money. This is a guy who can save money.
Look, according to
And
CBS
lives.
News, the Army was using Microsoft Word 30 years before it was invented. So
anyway, so you don't have to
20 years.
watch
It's an experimental program at extremely remote Texas Air National Guard stations out in the middle of nowhere. That's where they did their product testing for the new typesetting computer that they had for George Bush's
equidistant letter sequencing or whatever.
Texas Air National Guard thing.
So now you've avoided having to watch New Amsterdam, the TV show, Presumed Innocent, the movie, and Rise of Skywalker.
No,
So
Presumed
you go.
Innocent, you've got to see that. It's seriously one of the best courtroom dramas ever. It's up there with Absence of Malice, 12 Angry Men. It's that good.
Well, we've certainly got more than 12 Angry
The
Men at
Verdict.
this point
That's what I'm
since this
thinking
show has gone on now some 35 minutes. And so we better get
Low
to
these 35 minutes.
low these painful. So we better get back to recording the actual episodes of the show for this week. For those of you who have just perhaps noticed this, at BillWhittle.com now, you can see all of the videos that previously you couldn't see even when you're not logged in. And the reason we did that was so members can invite non-members to come to the website, not just to go to the YouTube videos. So that has happened within the last week. We've added a new forum section within the last week. If you go to the Connect link at the top of the page, you'll see links to the blog, to the forum, to private, to the membership directory, and there's one other link up there that escapes me now. Recent comments. And within the last couple of days, we've added podcasts for Bill Whittle Now. So there is a podcast page where you can hear all of the Bill Whittle Now episodes. And
Nice.
as we go forward, we are adding a SoundCloud podcast player underneath each new Bill Whittle Now video. Eventually we'll do that for Right Angle as well. But I'm just kind of working the bugs out right now and figuring out how to do it right. We have also put that in Google Play Music, where it has not been approved yet, or at least to my knowledge hasn't been approved. They have to watch every single episode, 80 hours of programming or whatever it is before they approve it. And it'll eventually be on iTunes too. And so your membership dollars, while we have not demanded additional money from you, which we should have done, we have added additional value to the product, and we are grateful for those people who have made it possible for us to do that. Bill,
I just want to say I'm on record for just stating in advance, I'm not sure that Bill Whittle Now is going to hold up without the sumptuous video quality, without the picture. I have very serious doubts about this entire thing, but we'll try it. What the heck?
It's funny. I had exactly the opposite reaction as I listened to the first episode of Bill Whittle Now, and it kind of takes you off guard because you're used to looking at it and connecting the voice with the face. And as I was just listening to it, I was like, hey, these guys have something to say. Like,
Well, don't let
now
that
we're
get
on to
out.
something.
I was previously distracted by the flapping of the lips, but now I can actually focus on the content.
Alrighty then.
We're going to go make us some content, and we're grateful to the members who have made this possible. And thank you for engaging in all those different ways that you communicate with each other. For Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thank you very much.